Hi and welcome to Teddy Fisher TV. It's been some time since we've been out on the bank to do a little feature and test some of our baits and show you some tactics. Today you join me here at my local fishery called Whitehouse Farm. We're in the middle of summer, and when these temperatures are reaching the mid-20s and it's very, very humid, this is the perfect opportunity to get a couple of hours in of an evening. The fish will be settling down, they'll be coming from the surface, and they'll be deciding to have a little bit of a chew in different areas of the swim, mainly down the edge and close in. Now for me, the best way of targeting commercial carp of an evening session in these sort of temperatures is fishing paste, and it really is simplicity in itself. I brought very, very rudimentary gear with me this evening, just a little basket to sit on, a couple of bait boxes, 3 or 4 rigs and a margin pole. The margin pole today I'm using, it's a bit of an old one, it's a Shimano Beastmaster. I've had this for years and years and it's never ever let me down. Now the peg that I've chosen here is on what's called Lexi's Lake, also known as the Carp Lakes. It's a bit of a specimen pool. Now I've only fished this once before in a match, and I managed to win that match with 2 carp that weighed 28 pounds. So that gives a bit of an idea of some of the stamp of fish in this lake. But to run through the tactics for you and just show you how simple it is, I've just put together one paste rig, and I fish it slightly different to some of the other many videos you'll find online, and I'll talk you through the rig in a second. But first of all, bait wise, simplicity once again. All I've brought is some Teddy Fisher 3mm carp pellets, a tin of ready cooked hemp, and a bag of Teddy Fisher's Excite Crush, and this is the krill flavour. The reason why I've chosen the krill, it's got a good old smell. I like the red colour in coloured water, and I think this will do the business for me. And making it, the paste itself, really is, again, simplicity in itself. All you need is an empty bait tub, a measuring cup of some sort, anything will do. I've just used an old pole cup, and what we're going to do is mix this 1 to 1. So I'm going to fill the pole cup up to the top, just there, 1. I'll go 2 full cups. And on my bait tray, I've got my hemp seed, I've got my carp pellets, and I've got a tub of water, and that's really important because it can be a bit of a messy tactic. So all I'm going to do in that tub of water is get 1 cup and 2 cups of water. And then, you don't have to do this, but I like to give it a bit of an oily feel, just so it binds and sticks that little bit better. A little bit of krill booster in there as well. And that just gives it a bit of an oily texture, which helps it bind together when we're putting it on the hook. A little bit more than that. And all we're then going to do is get stuck in with our fingers. It looks a bit of a mess. It looks like, you know, slop. It's just slopped over my trainers just there. And that's fine, because I'm going to leave this to rest for around 10 minutes, just whilst I plumb up, and that will be ready and good to go. And the great thing about this Excite Crush is that you rarely need to add any more water. It holds the moisture very, very well, and it's perfect for paste fishing. So simplicity in itself, as I say. It looks a bit of a mess at the moment. I might add a slight little bit more water. We'll see how it is in around 10 minutes or so. But the consistency, I'm going to be fishing big chunks of paste like this, sort of, you know, 50 pence, £2 coin size, on my rig. Pretty short, so we'll let that rest now. Rig wise, we're fishing a peg that's got a big overhanging tree to my right hand side, so it's a natural fish holding area. However, it could be snaggy, and it's also a great place for the fish to shoot straight under when I do strike. So you need robust tackle. I've not gone silly with it, but 0.19 mainline is around £7 to £8 in old money, with a hook length of 0.17, so around £7, and a size 12. It's a Guru Kaizen hook. The paste float that I'm using is one by Ian's Floats, and it's 0.4 of a gram. Using 3 rubbers is very, very important. It's going to go through a lot of punishment if we hook some of these big fish, and they do go through the tree. So 3 rubbers on there, a nice long bristle. That's really important to read the bites. In general, with paste fishing, it's going to shoot straight under, but you are going to get line bites, and you need a lot of bristle showing. Now, the difference the way I fish this is I have a running Olivet on the line, and it's 0.3 of a gram. And the reason why I use that is because it's very, very windy tonight, is when I'm going to put my paste in my pot, I've got that little Olivet that's just sliding up and down my line, which means it's not going to wrap over the pole and it's not going to tangle, and it's perfect. And they're stopped on the line, the Olivet, by two number 9 stops just above the hook length there. It's a 6-inch hook length. The pot's really important that you use for paste fishing as well. There's a couple of different types. These ones from Preston that you can get, and this is a Guru one. I like the Guru one because it's got the slots underneath, so when I'm sneaking the paste in, the water's going to help it not stick to the side of the pot, and it's going to, you know, take the bait out down to the bottom. The elastic is really, really important. I'm a big believer that the heavier elastic you fish, the more the fish will pull back. So I don't go really, really silly. Some people would be using the likes of Brown Hydro or a solid 20s. This is a 14 to 17 hollow. And I think that that's going to cushion the strike and just give me an extra second to then put the pressure on and hopefully pull it away from the trees. That's if they're going to go that way. We'll see. Now, location. In all these videos that I cover off for Teddy Fisher, I have my 3 golden rules, and that's location, presentation and feeding, of course. Location wise, I've not gone right down the edge, even though at this time of the evening they may well be coming into this natural patrol area. I'm fishing just beyond the near shelf, so it's 2 sections of the pole, this top 2, and 2 sections of the margin pole. And what that means, so about 5 meters. It means I've then got 2 spare sections behind me, just in case I need to push out a little bit further and put a bit of extra pressure on the fish. So it's just at the bottom of the near shelf, and it's a natural patrol route. Plumbing up wise, I plumbed up with around 2/3 of the float showing. So that means I'm going to have a good couple of inches on the bottom of the paste, and when I do get line bites, you know, I should be able to read them a little bit better. As I say, paste fishing, the bites tend to be very, very positive. They shoot straight under and they're unmissable once you get used to it. I'm not going to feed heavily. I've got no cupping kit, no heavy feeding techniques at all. I'm going to build the swim up slowly just by feeding 2/3 of a pot of the carp pellets, and then topped off with a little bit of hemp seed. And every time essentially that I'm fishing and I miss a bite or I come back in to rebait, I'm going to be feeding the peg with the paste, because it's going to come off the hook and it's going to slowly build the swim up as well. But it's a really, really simple method. We can see that that paste is coming together nicely. I'm going to add a little bit more water to that, and then we'll be good to go, and we'll get fishing and see what happens. So let's get paste fishing. Okay, so we're going to get fishing now. The paste has settled. I added a little bit more water, so we got a bit more of a sort of sloppy consistency. And all we're going to do is just flatten the paste out, put the hook in the middle, and just mould that paste around it. So it's almost like you feel like it's going to fall off, but it'll be fine. And in the paste pot, just a handful of those pellets. I've put a little bit of krill booster on them as well, and just cap it off with a little bit of hemp seed, and then my piece of paste on top. And as I mentioned, that Olivet means that the wind's not going to blow my line over my pole. It's going to keep everything nice and straight. We're just fishing 2 plus 2 sections, just not too tight to the tree, give myself a bit of a chance. And because my pole cup is set back a little bit, I just need to stretch out a wee bit just to drop my bait in, and then I'm just going to bring my float back over there. So that's now settled on the bottom, and there's a bite straight away. So first cast, that was taken on the drop, I feel. Now what's this? That's a little F1. That's a good start to the session, I have to say. Didn't expect that. I'm not too sure what the stocking levels are like of F1s and smaller fish, but that's a nice start to the session. We'll pop him in the net and we'll repeat the process. So the good thing about the paste as well is you can knock it up, because it only takes 10 minutes to get ready. You can knock it up a bit at a time. There's no point in making a big batch at the start of the session and it's, you know, it dries out or whatever. Same again, just a handful of pellets there, topped off with some hemp seed, and then my paste. You can see it's a big size over the top just here. So first cast, great start. Again, just go beyond, because my pole cup is set back a little bit, and then drag the float over the top. There we go. And there's plenty of bristles showing, and I'll be able to read those bites. When it's a proper bite, it'll just shoot under like it did a second ago. Might put another shot on that, actually. That's a little bit too much popping out, but I know that bait's on the bottom. What I need to do is read when the paste falls off the hook. I just need it to pop up very slightly. Now with this wind, it might be worth putting on a bit of a back shot as well, because it's just blowing around a little bit. Because I've got bristles showing, I don't want the wind catching it. And what we're looking for of an evening as well, as little bubbles coming up, the fish feeding, gill feeding, we know that they're there then, and we can prepare ourselves. Okay, we'll just repeat the process then after the action of that F1. Again, a nice big lump, just so it's hanging onto the hook. Handful of pellets, just capped off with some hemp seed, and the hemp seed's great because it sinks straight to the bottom, nice and heavy, keeps the fish pinned down. If hemp isn't allowed on your water, then you can just use 4mm pellets. Again, just gonna drop that there, just draw the float back over it. Now we're getting bubbles and pimples and there's fish around now, they're coming to the bait. And the float's just dotted perfectly now. I know when the bait comes off because it just pops up slightly, and I can repeat the process. Wind's a little bit awkward, I don't want it dragging the hook out of the paste, so I might back shot if it gets any worse, but for now it's okay. And it's just a case of, if you are getting liners, don't strike. Wait for that positive indication. Now if there is a number of F1s here, they'll still take these lumps of paste, not a problem at all. And the benefit of this elastic, this 14 to 17, is it is quite soft on the strike, so if there is these F1s and smaller fish, you know, I've less chance of bumping them off. Line bite. That's it. Another little F1. See, even them big lumps of paste, they still take that. That's a nice fish. Now there's lots of fizzing going on in the peg here now. There's definitely a fair few fish there. We've had roach, we've had a few F1s. I just hope that this small fish activity attracts the bigger fish. Now with paste fishing, don't expect it to be fast and furious straight away. It's, as I said at the start, it's building the peg every time you're going in and feeding and striking off your hook bait. It's building the swim. So there's a few times now that I've gone in and I've not fed anything because I know that there's fish there. They're showing themselves with the fizzing, and I don't want too many fish in the peg. It's interesting because I don't think that these tactics would have been used on here before. That's a bite. I don't think that paste would be fished often on this lake. What have we got here? Another small F1. I think it's generally a lot of anglers on here fish boilies and pellets. But another little handy F1. Okay, well I've been fishing about an hour now and I've had 6 or 7 chunky F1s, a nice roach and a perch, which proves that, you know, there's all sorts coming to this approach. I'm not feeding every time through the toss spot with the Empen pellets, but reading the bites and feeding to what I'm seeing. But I have made one fundamental change, and that is I've took a couple of inches off and I'm fishing at dead depth. And the reason why is because I realised that there's quite a strong undertow coming through from left to right from the aerator, and it was dragging the hook out of the paste, out of my hook bait. So by fishing dead depth, I'm now holding the line tight to the float, and the float's going down to, you know, a pimple really. And these F1s are giving a sharp dink rather than carp that come in and, you know, really positive and shoot off. So these fish seem to be a little bit cuter. It might be that this method has never been used on this lake. I'm not sure of anybody that's fished paste on here. So it might be a little bit alien, a little bit different. But I do still anticipate carp coming in and having a look around. And I know, like now, it looks like the hook bait has come out because the float pops up. Saying that, it's settled again now, so there's fish there. Looks like a liner. So just holding the line tight. Now that hook bait has come out. So it's a busy method, but I'm feeding the peg every time I come back. And we're sticking with these big chunks of paste. You know, at the minute I've used probably half a can of hemp. Not much pellets at all really, and I'm still on the original paste that I knocked up at the start, so it's a cheap session as well. One rig, couple of baits, nice positive fishing. So when I feed, I just hold the line tight to avoid that left to right toe. And look for that positive dink. And if it is a carp, then I think it will just sail away. And there's a bite. Now that feels like a better fish. Might be another F1, but a better stamp maybe. The biggest I've had's about 1.5 pounds. That's just a scrappy little beggar. But that positive dink again, just by holding that line tight. So we're just adapting to the conditions really. I mean, they're lovely little fish. And I wasn't aware that they were in here really. Well, we're pretty much at the end of the session now. We've fished just over 2 hours, and those big carp that inhabits this lake have eluded me, unfortunately. But we've had a number of F1s which have been really interesting. I wasn't expecting them. I thought I was going to be sat here for just a couple of bites, and it's a good job really. They've kept things ticking over nicely. If we are to catch a carp, now is the time. You know, last light. But you never know. We'll give it another 10 minutes or so, and then we'll get a little catch shot. Well, there we go. There's a little evening's work of chunky F1s with a couple of perch and roach in there as well, all caught on the paste. The big fish that inhabit this lake have eluded me, unfortunately, but fishing just over 2 hours. It's been really interesting, and hopefully giving you a few little tips and tricks, fishing the paste of an evening and showing you how simple it can be with just one rig, fishing at the bottom of that near shelf and just seeing what pops along. On another night it could have been 2 or 3 great big double figure carp, but tonight it's been these F1s that have kept me busy. So cheers for watching.